My name is Cole Thorne. At first light, I was standing on the lip of Red Canyon, watching dawn burn the ridges gold, when the sight ahead of me turned my stomach to ice. Across the high spine of rock, still as carvings, sat more than 70 Ute horsemen. They didn't shout. They didn't reach for bows or rifles. They simply watched. Shadows against the rising sun, as if a line of old laws had climbed out of the ground and taken the shape of men. In each palm, not a weapon but a string of claws, curved, pale, and gleaming like frozen moonlight. The emptiness on my hip felt louder than any war cry. I'd traded my pistol for water in Dusty Creek a few days back. A bad bargain that kept me alive long enough to feel naked now. But it wasn't the missing iron that troubled me most. It was the absence of certainty. An empty holster tells a man he's meeting fate without a handrail. Yesterday this ridge had held nothing but wind. Yesterday I had done a thing I told myself was simple. I gave my only horse to carry a wounded Ute woman to her people. Now those people had found me. She'd told me her name before fever swallowed her, Weyanoke. I searched the riders for her face and saw only men silent as standing stones. I braced for arrows that never flew. Instead, the quiet thickened until it felt like weight on my chest. Then one rider moved. He was older, hair streaked with gray, a face weathered like canyon walls. At a small motion of his hand, the line of warriors shifted with the quiet precision of soldiers. He rode down the slope toward me. Bones hung at his throat. A sun-brown tuft of hair, tied at his belt, made my blood pause. He drew up 10 paces away and said a single word I didn't understand. He pressed his palm to his chest and repeated it, softer, with a gravity that made it feel less like a threat and more like a sentence already passed. When I didn't answer, he reached into a pouch and held up a bridle. My bridle, silver conchos and all. New symbols had been painted on the leather, clean and careful. He pointed at me, at the markings, back to me. I didn't speak their language, but I understood this much. What I'd done meant something to them. Singing rose behind me, not a battle song, but a high, woven harmony that lifted the hairs on my arms. I turned. A procession was coming out of a side canyon. Women and children led by an elder in an elaborate headdress. Beside him, limping but alive, walked Weyanoke. She stopped before me, eyes bright with relief and something like sorrow. My grandfather wants to thank the man who returned life to his granddaughter, she said in careful English. I helped because she was hurt, I answered. Anyone would, she told the elder. He listened, then spoke back, firm and measured. Weyanoke translated without softening it. He says most would not. You gave away what keeps a man alive out here, your horse, to save an enemy. That is not anyone. That is a man who still lives by old codes. The elder stepped close and set a hand on my shoulder. There is a law among us, Weyanoke said. When a warrior gives his horse to save a life, his life is tied to the one he saved and to her people. Knowing or not knowing the law does not change the bond. My mouth went dry. Tied how? A signal passed along the ridge. Every rider lifted his string of claws in unison, not like a salute but a verdict. There must be a choosing, Weyanoke said. At sunset, you must show whether your heart matches your deed. If it does, you are family. If it does not, the gift was a lie, and a sacred lie must be answered. They brought me to their village, a hidden basin cradled by red rock, dwellings arranged with a kind of thoughtful geometry. No one spat or sneered. Children stared openly. Women nodded. The men measured me with the quiet attention people reserve for storms curious, cautious, ready. You're wondering why no one hates you here, Weyanoke said at my side. Hate is for enemies, family is for our own. You are neither. Until the ceremony, you are between, so you are handled with care. Inside the elder's lodge lay a small table of objects, my bridle, a fine knife, a clay pot of paint. Weyanoke translated as her grandfather explained the rite. There are 3 parts, she said. First, you prove your kindness wasn't a trade for favor or fame. Second, you sacrifice something real chosen by you. Third, you show you can place the tribe above your own skin. "What's the sacrifice?" I asked. The elder lifted the knife, then spoke in tones that needed no dictionary. Wyandoke's face went pale. "You will be bound. Your life will rest in our hands. If your gift was true, we will spare you. If it was false, we will not." A bead of sweat crept down my spine. So that was why 70 riders could sit so calm. They weren't here to fight me. They were here to weigh me. The elder dipped a finger into the paint, marked his own brow, and handed me the pot. My hand shook, but I pressed the same sign onto my forehead. He exhaled like a man relieved. Preparations spread through the village with a tidy urgency. Stones set into a circle, ropes braided, bundles carried. Whatever this was, it had roots deeper than one night. I changed into their ceremonial clothes. The ridge riders took up quiet posts around the village like a living fence. No one said the words, but escape was no longer on the table. When the sun kissed the canyon rim, they sat me in the stone circle, hands tied behind my back. Torches threw restless shadows. Elders in painted designs faced me. Wyandoke stood nearby to carry words between us, though I suspected the old ones already grasped more English than they admitted. The question started soft and grew teeth. Why had I entered their land? I told them about the drought that killed my small ranch and sent me searching. Where was my family? Gone. Fever took my parents, and my sister died when help came too late. No wife, no children. Did you help Wyandoke to gain anything from us? No. I knew trouble was more likely. Do you believe you're a good man who deserves reward? I stared at the dirt. I don't know if I'm good, I said finally. I just know letting someone die when I could help felt wrong. A woman elder cut in sharp and fast. Wyandoke relayed the point. Why not take me to your own people? You could have worn hero's clothes among whites. Because she belongs with her own, I said. Dragging her away from her world would have been another kind of harm. Another elder leaned forward, eyes narrowed, and spoke a single sentence that landed like a hammer. You talk of kindness, Wyandoke translated, but you chose to walk alone through hard country. No horse, no gun. Was that mercy to a stranger, or punishment for yourself? The question found the place in me where I never let anyone look. I saw my sister's face near the end. I felt again the hollow of standing at my parents' graves. Maybe I'd done brave things. Maybe I'd also been paying a debt I could never settle. Maybe both. I said, and the truth of it felt like cold water. The elders conferred. The chief elder rose and spoke to the circle. Wyandoke's eyes glistened when she came to me. You passed the first test, she said. They believe you helped me for the right reasons. She hesitated. Now comes the hard part. They brought a wooden box with 5 arrows inside, each wrapped with a strip of leather bearing painted symbols. The elder lifted the pieces one by one, announcing them to the gathered people. The sacrifice, Wyandoke said quietly, is to choose who will face danger for your sake. 5 of our people volunteered. Each arrow stands for a trial. You pick the person and the trial. My stomach turned. Across the circle stood the volunteers, a boy with a man's posture, a woman with kind lines at the corners of her eyes, a scarred veteran, a teenage girl who struck me with memories I couldn't hold, and a father my age with a young family clinging to the edge of the crowd. That isn't sacrifice, I said. That's me handing my burden to someone else. That is what the test measures, Wyandoke answered. Some choose quickly, imagining the tribe's risk is an acceptable price for their welcome. But there is another path. Refuse to choose and take all 5 trials yourself. No one has ever survived it. She swallowed. No one has ever tried. She named the Arrows Night Crossing of the Devil's Canyon Rapids, a stone taken from a mountain, Lion Den's deepest chamber, scaling a sheer cliff no living person had climbed, walking alone into the territory of a rival band, and returning with proof of peace, taking a rattlesnake bite and trusting traditional medicine to pull you back. I looked at the 5, then at the faces circling us. then at the 70 riders who hadn't blinked since morning. My sister's last advice rose up like a hand on my shoulder. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's doing what's right while you're shaking. I lifted my head to the elder. I won't choose anyone else, I said. If there must be trials, I'll carry them. All 5. The crowd stirred. The 5 volunteers let out breaths they'd been holding. On the ridge, something changed. 70 riders slipped the claw strings from their bridles and lifted them high, a dark thicket reaching toward the first stars. The elder stood, every movement deliberate, age and authority braided together. He spoke in a voice, no bigger than a man's, but older than the stones. Wyandotte cried as she translated. "No one among us has ever offered what you offered," she said. "A man who would rather die than make others bleed for his comfort has already revealed his heart. The trials have served their purpose. They are ended. You are our brother." For a long, stunned moment I could only stare. "But I haven't done anything," I managed. The elder's smile was small and sure. "The trials are not meant to kill," Wyandotte said, voice unsteady. "They exist to show what a man is when there is no easy road. You've shown it." What happened next felt like thunder without sound. The 70 riders dismounted together. One by one they came to the circle, kneeling to lay their claw strings at my feet. Then other gifts, knives hammered by hand, woven blankets carrying family stories, carved pieces warm with age and touch. At last they led forward my horse, newly dressed in ute tack beaded and painted in patterns that told a story I didn't yet know how to read. He looked like the same animal and nothing like him at all. A friend turned into a promise. A grey-haired warrior stepped close and spoke careful English. "White brother," he said, "we expected either a burial or a welcome tonight. We did not expect a man fit for the highest honor we know." "What honor?" I asked, voice gone quiet. "Protection of 70 families," he said. "Each string you see is a pledge. Wherever you ride in our lands, you have a bed, a meal, and a wall of bodies between you and harm. Few strangers have ever been given this. None who were not born among us." The elder placed both hands on my shoulders and met my eyes. "You came a stranger who gave a gift," Wyandotte translated. "You leave a brother who received 70. Your horse carries marks that grant safe passage through our country. More than that, you've shown our children that some outsiders still know what courage and sacrifice mean." They settled the strings across my saddle, the claws clicking softly like distant rain. Something loosened in my chest, a knot I'd lived with so long I thought it was part of me. I mounted, and for the first time in years the horizon didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a door. "Where will you go now, brother?" Wyandotte asked. I looked north, toward mountains rumored to hold good grazing. Then back at the village that had pressed a mirror to my heart and didn't flinch at what it saw. "I reckon I'll try the high country," I said. "Seems I have new neighbors to meet." The 70 warriors swung into their saddles and formed up around me. We moved together out of the basin, their presence a hush against the coming dark. The bracelets of claws caught the last light and flashed like fallen stars. People like to say a love story needs a kiss to count. Maybe. I rode away believing a different kind of love had found me out here. Love of honor, of duty, of a hand extended across a line that used to be a wall. The frontier will break a man if all he carries is himself. But sometimes, on a hard morning in a hard land, one clean act can turn a wanderer into a brother. And that's the kind of story worth keeping.